Welcome to August safety meeting. So the agenda, accidents and claims, customer service, driver training will be driver distractions. I started something new, a safety message for the month. So for the month of August, do not assume safety, stay alert and non-distracted. We all know what assume means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same, okay. Because the problem is, we're having a lot of unnecessary accidents. So just trying to put it out there that a lot of stuff we're doing is because we're either distracted or we're not distracted, not paying attention, one of them. And I'm not saying anybody in here, cause I don't know nobody's name, except for Blake.
I think it come down to two, being complacent sometime after you've been here for so
After
long.
you've been here, complacency is
So
a
after
big.
about 10 years of driving, it just become like second nature, you
And
become
then therefore I
complacent.
need for you to find something else to do.
Yeah.
Not,
I'm not saying me,
not
but I'm just
driving,
saying that's,
but just try to refocus on something.
yeah.
So for July, we had 12 preventable accidents, 5 non-preventable, and 1 report of injury. Out of those 12 preventable, 10 of them were fixed objects. And that was like,
Damn, think so.
that was probably, a majority of them were on the yard.
On the poles, coming
On
out
the
the
poles
bays.
coming out the bays, wash bay, several different things.
23 buses being fixed, Max. One guy.
So customer service, comments and complaints, customer service is not a department, it's everyone's job. So with Tanya being gone, we don't have the frills and deals of
Tiny?
Tanya.
Was she on vacation?
No, she left.
Oh, she left? Wow.
Thought you said
Customer
Tiny.
service rep.
Who's Tiny?
So,
Oh, she was on vacation.
they did a 6-month comparison of the, comments. Who is it?
Get out.
So, for the valid complaints, we have 7 no-shows, which, as far as driving, that's not your guys' fault. That's where, there's no driver for that route.
Mhm.
The biggest issue, and, Phil is having a big problem with this, is the pass-ups. So, for pass-ups, if you're out there and you got a bus load and you see somebody, don't just keep moving. Just stop, let them know that you can't pick them up. But don't just roll past them and have them standing there like, hey. Or if you're at I noticed that, some of the bus shelters are lived in.
Yeah.
So if you go by there twice and it's still the same people sitting there, yes, I can see moving. But if you go by there the 3rd time and it's a new person there, just stop and make sure that new person is not hanging out with the old people. Make sure that new person just wants to ride. Okay. The second big issue is wheelchairs. We've had several instances where wheelchair passengers have been left. So, same thing, you have a bus load and it's the people with all their carts and bags and stuff, and they're in the ADA sections. Just ask, hey, do you mind moving so that I can get this wheelchair? If they tell you no, then you, ma'am, sir, I do apologize, but nobody's willing to move and I cannot force them. I can call dispatch and advise them to, let them know that you're out here so that dispatch can get someone out there, either the next bus or a supervisor to come get them.
That's what I had to do. I was on the number 12 route, and I had people with walkers sitting with a wheelchair, and they said, no, we're not moving. So I called the supervisor, and they told the supervisor they ain't moving. They said, we've been waiting so long, we're not moving nowhere. And they won't even move to let the wheelchairs on.
Yeah.
It was 2 wheelchairs
But,
at the station.
right, and you
Wanted to get
can't force them because at the end of the
Correct.
day,
Couldn't
That's
afford
it.
you
it.
don't know if they're ADA as well.
Yeah, that's.
Correct. They said they
So-
staying there. They said they're not
Right.
moving.
So just, advise that just advise dispatch, that way you cover yourself.
CYA,
There you go.
right?
So as far as the ramp, everybody is allowed to use the ramp. So if they ask for it, make sure you give it to them. Now, I know that I was told yesterday, especially at like, on the Virginia line, the ramps won't go out because of the platforms. So if you have to use it, either pull before the ramp or after the ramp so that you can use it, just, you know. But everywhere else, just make sure we're using it. So what we're gonna talk about is curbing driver distractions. It'll be a couple of slides we'll go through, and then you'll watch a video. Disclaimer note, I didn't make the video, Bobby did. Just putting that out there. So, each year approximately 40,000 people are killed in motor vehicle crashes, and more than 3 million people are injured. Motor vehicle crashes are the #1 cause of deaths for people aged 1 to 35. Almost 80% of crashes and 65% of near crashes happen within 3 seconds of some form of driver distraction. So this was done in 2009. I tried to find an updated version, but they didn't have one. So you can imagine 2009 to 22, a lot has changed since then. So it's probably a heck of a lot more. So in 2009, 5,774 were killed and 448,000 people were injured due to distracted driving on roads. Nearly 20% of all distracted driving fatalities involve cell phones. 24,000 distracted driving crashes that resulted in injuries involve cell phones. So, truth about multitasking. Everyone tries to multitask. There are 2 truths. People actually do not multitask well. People do not accomplish both tasks with optimal focus and effectiveness. Multitasking is a myth. People do not perform 2 tasks at the same time. The brain handles tasks sequentially, switching between one to the other, performing only one task at a time. At first I thought that was crazy because every day we're doing 2 things at one time, but if you think about it, when you're doing one, you stop that one to do the other. So therefore, it's not like you're actually doing them at the exact same time. So what is a distraction? So what's a distraction in maintenance?
The distraction of maintenance, probably
Bus driver.
your phone going off or getting pulled off of something and forgetting where you set your tool or something like that.
Blake, I know you got a lot to say. Go on and let me know. Nothing today? Okay. Proving anything for drivers?
You know, some people trying to talk to
Yeah,
you,
people trying to talk to you, that's.
coming over that yellow line.
Right.
You know what happened today? I was over there and I said, excuse me, you see that yellow, get back a little bit, please. Thank you. They think you their friend,
There you go.
right?
That's how it is.
They think we friends or something.
So 3 types of driver, distracted driving. Visual, taking your eyes off the road. Manual, taking your hands off the wheel. Cognitive, taking your mind off of what you are doing. So I can tell you for me, when I drove, it was cognitive, cause y'all don't know how much money I have spent in the 19 years I drove on stuff that I do not have to this day. What if I had this money, I could buy this. If I had this, I could buy that. Ain't got none of it. But it was a distraction because I was thinking about something else instead of what I was supposed to be doing. So examples of distracted driving: eating, texting, talking on a cell phone, talking to a passenger, reading, grooming. I hope nobody's on the bus grooming. But I could tell you the one biggest things that we do as bus drivers is eat and drive. Don't act like y'all ain't never picked up a pack of crackers and ate while you was driving, cause I know you have. But if you're gonna eat, make sure you sit at a stoplight or at a terminal and then eat and drink. Don't let me see you driving down 4th Street with a sandwich in one hand and a steering wheel in the other, okay? Yes, sir.
No,
Okay.
I was pretending I was drinking.
Oh. So, distracted driving is the #1 killer of American teenagers. More than 80% of drivers admit to blatantly hazardous behavior. Drivers on mobile phones are more impaired than drivers with a 0.8 blood alcohol level. Y'all believe it? I do.
Really, they are distracted.
Cause if you on your cell phone, you
When I
are
was
in
school
it.
bus driving, the lady all the way up 3 blocks was on her phone. I'm honking at the kids, you know, to get them to stop driving. She just blew right through the stop sign, and they was like, "Did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah." Let that be a lesson to you to not be on your phone while you're driving, because they was like, "She almost killed us." I was like, "Yup,"
There you go.
all the way down the street.
So we are going to go to the video.
Urban Transit employee distracted driving. This course was developed to raise the awareness of distracted driving and reduce the risk of distracted driving by public transportation professionals. There is a 15-question quiz that follows this course. In order to earn a certificate, you must score at least 80% on the quiz. You are encouraged to take notes during the course to assist you with the quiz. Remember, once you begin the quiz, you will not be able to go back to review course content. Learning objectives. By the end of this training course, you will be able to explore distractions, describe the consequences of distracted driving, recognize the effects of distractions, discuss managing distractions, and interpret distracted driving rules, laws, policies, and definitions. What is distracted driving? Distracted driving is any non-driving activity in which a person engages that has the potential to distract him or her from the primary task of driving and increases the risk of crashing. There are 3 main types of distractions. Visual, taking your eyes off the road. Manual, taking your hands off the wheel. Cognitive, taking your mind off what you are doing. Module 1. Exploring distractions. Multitasking is valued in today's society. In our drive for increased productivity, it is tempting to use cell phones and other electronic devices while behind the wheel. Drivers often think they are effectively accomplishing 2 tasks at the same time. For example, by completing a phone conversation while driving and arriving at their destination without incident. However, 2 truths exist related to multitasking. 1. People actually do not multitask well. 2. People do not accomplish both tasks with optimal focus and effectiveness. Multitasking is a myth. The human brain does not perform 2 tasks at the same time. Instead, the brain handles tasks sequentially, switching from one task to the other. Our brain can juggle tasks very rapidly, which leads us to believe we are doing 2 things at the same time. In reality, the brain is switching attention between tasks, performing only one at a time. A person who is talking on a cell phone while driving is performing both tasks with divided attention. The brain is overloaded by the incoming information, and to handle this overload, it does not process and store all of the information. The brain prioritizes some information for attention and possible action and filters out some of the information. Performance is impaired when this filtered information is not processed into a driver's working short-term memory. As a result, a driver may not be consciously aware of which critical roadway information is being filtered out. This filtering limits the processing of critical information and results in the inability of the brain to alert a driver to potentially hazardous situations. This dysfunction of the neurological system is why critical warnings of navigation and safety hazards are missed when drivers are engaged in cell phone conversations, texting, or other distractions. What distracts drivers? National Highway Traffic Traffic Safety Administration identifies the following as the top 6 distractions for drivers: talking with passengers, adjusting the radio or CD player, texting, using a cell phone, reading a map or newspaper, personal grooming. The American Public Transportation Association has identified several common transit agency controlled distractions that may impact bus or rail operators, maintenance employees, vehicle fuelers, and washers. These include dealing with communications equipment, agency authorized, route maps or route descriptions, vehicle equipment, workstations, fare boxes, onboard vehicle displays of schedule adherence, transit employees and distracted driving. Across the United States, public transportation systems have been working with their transit employees to emphasize the importance of not driving while distracted. The following have been observed as behaviors demonstrated by bus operators who drive while distracted: missing bus stops, running red lights, weaving in and out of traffic, missing passenger fare payments, colliding with street fixtures, experiencing near misses with pedestrians and other vehicles. Unfortunately, many serious injuries and fatalities have resulted from accidents linked directly to bus driver distractions, as indicated by these headlines: driver slammed into back of SUV, bus operator texting, 49 injured as a result of bus operator texting while driving, train engineer was texting just before California crash, 25 killed. The toll of driving distracted is enormous, resulting in human costs, death and injury, liability costs, prison time, community service, increased insurance premiums, physical costs and damages, cost to repair vehicles and property. Driving a transit vehicle is a challenging job. As a transit employee, you are constantly surrounded by possible hazards along routes. To safely accomplish your job, you need to stay continuously alert to avoid hazards. Don't drive distracted. Module 2, Consequences of Distracted Driving. What does distracted driving mean? Research reveals some surprising facts. Regardless of the type of distraction, driving while distracted is a serious threat to safety on the road. As a transit employee, you are a professional and have more experience than typical drivers. You are well versed in state and federal driving laws and are trained in defensive driving techniques, and you believe you are less likely to be affected by a distraction. You may think, what harm is there in looking down for a minute to send a text or answer my cell phone? The truth is that doing so is incredibly dangerous and against your agency's policies and could cost you your job. Industry concerns. The transportation industry considers distracted driving to be one of its greatest safety issues. Federal, state, public, and private transportation officials are working together to combat it through education, training, and enforcement. Module 3, Effects of Distractions. Now that you have a clearer understanding of the issues surrounding distracted driving, let's review how driving distractions can affect your perception time, reaction times, and braking distance. Vehicle distance per second. When you are driving your vehicle, it moves at a certain number of feet per second. The faster your speed is, the more feet per second it travels. The formula to convert miles per hour to feet per second is 1 mile per hour equals 1.4666667 feet per second, or roughly 1.5 feet per second. For example, if you are traveling 30 miles per hour, you are covering 45 feet per second. Perception time. Perception distance is the amount of time from when your eyes first see a hazard until your brain recognizes the hazard. The average person has a reaction time of about 3/4 of a second. This means that from the time your eyes first see the hazard until your brain even realizes that it's a hazard, you have lost about 3/4 of a second. While this may not seem like a long time, It can add up to significant travel distances at high speeds. For example, if you're driving a bus on the freeway at 60 miles per hour, your bus will travel 66 feet, 1.5 bus lengths, before your brain even realizes something is wrong. Reaction time. Reaction time is the amount of time when your brain realizes something is wrong and then initiates a response. Just as with perception time, reaction time is usually about 3/4 of a second. That's another 66 feet at 60 miles per hour. The average undistracted driver at 60 miles per hour will travel more than 3 bus lengths before the foot moves to brake and actually begins pressing down on the pedal. Brake lag. Brake lag is a phenomenon specific to vehicles equipped with air brakes. With air brakes, there is an added delay, the time required for the brakes to work after the brake pedal is pushed. With hydraulic brakes, usually found on cars and light or medium trucks, the brakes work instantly. However, with air brakes, it takes a little time. 1/2 second or more for the air to flow through the lines to the brakes. Braking distance. Braking distance is the distance a vehicle travels from when the brakes are completely engaged until it comes to a complete stop. Stopping distance. Total stopping distance is the total distance a vehicle travels from the time your eyes first see a hazard until the vehicle comes to a complete stop. It is made up of perception distance, reaction distance, brake lag, and braking distance. With an understanding of these factors, it becomes clear how many components contribute to the seemingly simple task of stopping a transit vehicle. It should also be clear that the addition of operator distraction to this equation could dramatically affect the ability to stop a transit vehicle in a quick and safe manner. All of the components of stopping distance in buses are also present for rail vehicles. This includes perception distance, reaction distance, brake lag, and braking distance. Some people have compared stopping a rail vehicle with stopping a piece of ice that's sliding on glass. This is because a steel wheel riding on a steel rail has a much lower coefficient of friction than a rubber tire on asphalt. This lower coefficient translates to a much longer stopping distance. When you add the higher speeds at which some rail vehicles operate, your stopping distance can be increased even more. Because of these reasons, it's critical that you avoid distractions while operating a rail vehicle. Module 4, Managing Distraction. Everyone has a personal responsibility. With the increase of use of portable technologies, driver distractions have dramatically increased. We live in a world where people have access to instant, real-time information 24 hours a day. Those desires do not stop just because people get behind the wheel. Drivers simply do not realize the dangers to themselves and others that are posed when they take their eyes and minds off the road and their hands off the wheel and instead focus on activities other than driving. Common sense and personal responsibility are a major part of the solution. One of the U.S. Department of Transportation's campaign tools against driving distracted is put it down and pay attention to the road. The risks are simply too high. Putting the phone down while driving will save lives and costs associated with crashes caused by distracted drivers. And because everyone is potentially affected when drivers are distracted, everyone must be part of the solution. Depending on your agency's wireless policies, personal electronic devices are prohibited from being brought onto the bus, or personal electronic devices are allowed but must be turned off and stowed off the operator's person and out of sight. These devices should be used only when the vehicle is parked and the operator is no longer sitting in the driver's seat. Non-electronic driver-controlled distractions, such as eating or drinking, grooving, or reading, can divert attention from safe driving. Both hands should be free to control the vehicle, with both hands on the steering wheel at all times. Passenger distractions. Bus operators should avoid unnecessary communications. If conversation cannot be avoided and you need to communicate with a passenger, you must do so while maintaining focus on the safe operation of the vehicle. Anytime the conversation impacts safe driving, you should pull the vehicle off the road to finish the conversation. Agency authorized or required equipment or material distractions. As a transit employee, you may need to refer to maps, directions, instructions, etc. to perform your job duties. These actions should be performed while the vehicle is stopped in a safe location. Should you need to communicate via the two-way radio, you must ensure that it is done in a safe manner. If necessary, stop the vehicle in a safe location while communicating with dispatch or other agency representatives. Module 5. Distracted driving rules, laws, policies, and definitions. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, is encouraging states and local governments to partner to reduce fatalities and crashes. You should be aware of the rules, laws, and policies of your state, your community, and your agency regarding distracted driving. Your state's rules and regulations. To underscore the seriousness of driver distraction, many states have established laws and are prosecuting individuals who drive distracted. These same states are also instituting fines and/or prison time for those found guilty of driving distracted. As a transit employee, it is important for you to interpret, understand, and obey your state's rules and regulations on the use of wireless devices while operating a transit vehicle. Please make sure to check with your employer about your state's rules and regulations. Your agency's policies. Transit agencies throughout the United States are educating employees about the industry-wide issue of employee distractions. Joint labor and management recognition of the safety and liability implications are essential to establish effective mitigation measures. Your agency has developed policies and procedures that are well documented. Please check with your operations managers, supervisor, operator trainer, or employee operator manual about your agency's specific policies and procedures. Course summary. In this course, you learned about the key concept of distractions and the dangers of using wireless devices while driving. You learned how distracted driving affects your perception time, reaction time, and braking distance. You now know you have a personal responsibility to managing distracted driving by putting it down and paying attention to the road. Now that you have completed this course, you should be able to explore distractions, describe the consequences of distracted driving, recognize the effects of distractions, discuss managing distractions, and interpret distracted driving rules, laws, policies, and definitions.
So, with that, with the distracted driving, I just want, when you out there, the things that are distracting you, whether it's the passengers, the, bear box, if it's a hazard, don't stress yourself over it. Driving is more important than you sitting there pressing on some buttons.
And how about sometimes when they sending those darn messages from dispatch over and over and
And that's-
over, the same damn thing,
Yes.
every goddamn 2-3 minutes. That's distracting right there.
Right, because you have to press it in order to get rid of
Yeah,
it.
cause it's sending it the same thing over and over. Some of it don't even apply to me.
Right, I got you. So on things like that, of course, you have to hit it in order to get rid of it. But do it in a safe manner. Don't be driving on the street with one hand on the wheel and you over there trying to mess with it instead of driving. And the same thing on the yard. In the mornings, pull out, in the afternoon, yes, sometimes the first bus is not the bus that's gonna pull out, it's the second or the third one behind it. If you're in a situation and you need help, get help. Ask one of the guys to help you for the maintenance shop. Don't just sit and do it yourself and then you back into another bus or you back and hit your, mirror. Ask for help, because I'd rather for you to ask for help than you to do that and then you gotta, here you are with a preventable for something that could have completely been avoided. So anything, you know, I was taught 20 years ago, don't ever put yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. So just remember that when it's out there, if there's nobody to help you to move it,
Don't move it.
don't move it. Let them know, dispatch, I need some help, I'll sit here until you can get somebody to help me. Because I'm not comfortable doing it. They can't discipline you for that because at the end of the day, it's safety.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Safety
just
first.
safety first. So some housekeeping. Oh, y'all, I'm trying to play this video again. Housekeeping, we've had 4 rollaways. So, please, make
Yeah.
sure you are pulling your park brake before you get out of those seats. Even if you pull it and you walk off the bus, you ever said, oh shoot, that I actually pulled the park brake,
Yeah, go back.
jump on there and make sure that you're pulling it. Another thing is 5 miles per hour on the yard, but we just got an email today that it's changed to 3.
To 3.
To 3 miles an hour on the yard and at the terminals. So,
Wow, that's like
Yeah.
a
Good luck.
snail.
so,
I don't.
Nobody heard that.
so,
Only you.
slow it down out there.
5's too fast.
Where's Clarence? Go tell him.
3 miles.
So, it's to keep, what is happening is because we got people, some people
People
who
that get in an accident.
take out of here. I mean, we've had 2 that's had about tried to take this pole out
Wow.
at the end of the, fence. Pulling out of here at 15 miles an hour, trying to hit the street. Why? So, then another thing, just especially at 4th Street, those people do not pay attention to you at all. To them, oh, they gonna stop, they got brakes. And all it takes is for 1 second for you to mistakenly hit the fuel pedal instead of the brake pedal because you're going too fast. Or hit the brake, but it's way too late because you're going too fast. So just be mindful, be
So
careful out there.
even our bus washers at night that have 70 buses to park in 8 hours need to be going 3 miles an hour. through
3
the-
miles an hour, yes, sir.
So are you guys prepared to pay them the overtime to park these buses?
That's not my job, sir.
Okay.
I am safety.
I'm just asking, cause me and Mike did a test today, from the bus wash to Bay 33, over 5 minutes a bus.
Yes, I talked to Mike.
Okay.
He came to me. So at the end of the day, myself nor Mike have nothing to do with it.
Correct.
We can only do what we're told to do.
You gonna have people behind you like this.
Any comments, questions, or concerns? You just gave me yours, Blake.
Do we get speeding tickets?
You will. So don't let me catch you doing it.
Well,
Anything?
No brake test, Blake.
So at the end of the
Settle
day,
down.
thank you for the amazing job you
Speed
guys
my
do.
mind.
You're an important part of the team, and I say that because it's a former bus driver. All I wanted to hear was thank you. So, thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good day.